Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Reality Forecast, the podcast that tells you what's coming and what you should prepare for. I am your host, Todd Ronan, and I'm here with my esteemed colleague, Dr. Mo. Mr. Mo, how are you today?
Doing fine and dandy.
What's that you're wearing?
I'm wearing my Shiba Army t-shirt.
Whoa, you are prepared for what is to come with your Shiba Army t-shirt. Very nice.
Very confident.
Yeah. Well, that is exciting, and you should be wearing that with pride, and hopefully you'll get more followers to come and you can tell them they need to buy some Shiba Inu.
Yes, and it was bought. Liz's. I don't know if anybody knows Liz. Her son, Liz Cross. Her son bought this for me, so it was a gift.
Very nice. That is awesome. I would like to get one on my own. We got a couple things to look at today, but it's not going to be necessarily cryptocurrency because we had a prediction last week that hasn't hit yet that I posted in the show notes, and we'll talk about a few things, but we're gonna try and touch on some other things that we didn't talk about before. What did I want to cover? I had show notes I gave to you.
Supplements, preparedness, and Lonnie, and UFO sightings.
Okay, that's good. Yeah, let's talk about that. So one of the things that people are kind of concerned about right now are what can I do to make myself healthier? What can I do to make myself, survive? Yes, what everyone's really concerned about right now. I've got an old list of things that I wrote down that I think would be important for people to stock up on. There's a prepared list and also a vitamin supplement list. You've got some background with looking at supplements and nutrition, haven't you, before?
Yeah, I'm pretty passionate about supplementation. So yes.
So this is from an old, I used to subscribe to the International Anti-Aging Systems website. It was a European site because that's the only place I could get Gerovital 20 years ago. And these are the most important things that they said that should apply to everybody. Can you see that, or do I need to make that larger for you?
That's good for me.
Okay. These are just the bare essentials. This is exactly what you should be taking every day, regardless of any really big conditions. So you got your A, C, beta carotene, selenium, lipoic acid. There's a couple, I say, this is old, so now you're supposed to take right-handed alpha lipoic acid too, not the regular alpha lipoic acid. It says CoQ10, but now I take ubiquinol, which is a kind of a more evolved variant of CoQ10, and a good vitamin with B12, B3, B6, and something containing trace elements. But you said you should also be taking the vitamin D, or you should be outside at least 15 minutes a day getting some sun without sunscreen, because that's going to help you process these vitamins, right?
Oh, yes, correct. And if you do take vitamin D, you want to have it in tandem with vitamin K. There's a lot of supplements now that have both K and D, so you have the right ratio.
Good to look at. A good benchmark is to look at what they have for, well, they used to be Life Extension Foundation, but now they've switched up their supplements so that they give you a blend and they don't tell you the ratio. Another good supplement company is Solgar, Solgar.
Yes, they are.
And what other brands do you like?
It varies. I'll have to look it up, but I have multiple brands that I use because they tend to be better at certain vitamins or supplements than others. But it varies.
I used to subscribe to Consumer Research too, a company that would tell you exactly what's in the vitamins. So they would take the COAs from the company and then do their own, and then tell you if they were lying about the COAs that they had. Age projection, this is between 25 to 34. So everybody should have been taking aminoguanidine, resveratrol, and pyracetam. Pyracetam, I don't know if that's really as much of a nootropic as some other ones that are better now. So this is all like 15-year-old information I haven't looked at recently. So if you're male, be taking estrogen blockers. I don't know about thymus. I think that might be outdated information too. I would make sure you get your thyroid levels checked before you start adjusting any thymus things here. And carnosine or L-carnosine. Here's what I was taking, the Geravital. You take this on an empty stomach, and it's a weak reversible MAO inhibitor, and it helps increase your, what does it say? It's an enzyme responsible for the breakdown of the brain neurotransmitter dopamine. Now, instead of taking Geravital, I'm taking Depronel, and I take it kind of microdosing. It's allegedly for Parkinson's, but you can buy Selegnine, Selegnine, and maybe 10 milligram tablets, and cut those in half, put them under your tongue, and you should feel like kind of an enlightened effect, and you'll be able to think a little bit more faster. Take that like a 5 milligram dose under your tongue, on for 5 days, off for 4 days, and then back on for 5 days. It's probably pretty good. Do you take any other nootropics right now, Dr. Mo?
Yes, I take the Lion's Mane by Fresh Caps. I believe it's Fresh Caps. But there's not many brands out there that has truly fruiting powdered extract of mushrooms. So I take the Lion's Mane. There's very few. Most of them on Amazon are bunk, almost like 90%, 70s to 90%. There's only 2 companies I would trust, and Fresh Caps is probably the best.
What is the first
they're
one?
so good
Fresh
that they
Pack?
actually, what's that?
Is it Fresh Pack?
Fresh Cap, like a mushroom cap.
Oh, Fresh
Cap.
Cap. Okay, we'll put links to that in the information
And
too.
they're Canadian based, but they've been around the block for a while on YouTube, and you can just tell they're legit, because they go out of the way to educate the public, even how to grow your own mushrooms. So they seem very passionate versus some kind of company with a lot of marketing, but you don't know their faces, you don't see their faces or names behind that. And a lot of this stuff is that's powdered up is not actually the mushroom itself. It's called the medium that's it's a granular medium that's grown from. So you're getting basically filler. So you're paying for filler, and it doesn't do anything for you. So
yeah, a lot of supplementation is going to have filler in it too. You can look to see if it's got coloring added or any other cellulose.
also use ginkgo biloba for brain. Go to Kulo. There's a few others. Rodis, I can't pronounce it. It starts with R. It's also good. There's a type of magnesium. The type of magnesium is the only magnesium that's blood to brain. What do you call it? When
Yeah, it's magnesium oroate. OROATE.
Hold on, I had it.
Just if you have any stress, I've got a personal technique to remove stress. We don't use these anymore.
Alpha GPC is the best, one of the best. But Dr. Maxwell is the best brand for that. Magnesium L-threonate. It's the only magnesium that can cross over from the blood to brain. Proven. It's good for learning and memory. Of course, you sleep better, it'd be magnesium, but it's the best magnesium for the brain. And that's by Source Naturals. They're a very good company. They've been around for a while. If they're new companies, if they're new, I would do a lot of research, because they're not real new companies. They're not trustworthy, but Source Naturals been around for a while.
They have. They're a good brand. I like them.
I also take Herpesine or Herpesine A, good for the brain.
Huperzine A is also a good product too.
Also omega-3. Not all omega-3 are the same. A lot of it's out there on the market is they're, what's the word? That's basically they're rancid. You don't realize, because they stink and smell anyways, but majority of the omega-3 fish oils are rancid. They're bad. I would only trust Nordic Naturals, is in fact used by the brand they used by a lot of scientists, and also Joe Rogan uses it, that brand.
Ah,
And this is a type of omega-3 that it's called phospholipids. Phospholipids. Oh,
That's Nordic Naturals. Okay.
yeah. It's a type of omega-3. And that type of omega-3 precursor, whatnot, is usually in krill. And then, of course, I mean, I got some other things, but that's the extent of my brain nootropics. But surprisingly, people don't realize, and Japanese do it all the time still, nicotine. Nicotine is a very, very potent nootropic. But the thing is that all the studies done in America and Europe are studies of nicotine with Marlboro cigarettes and whatnot, and Philip Morris. Well, they got all the chemicals and radioactive additives in it.
Yeah,
well,
hundreds and hundreds of additives to a cigarette.
They don't study the actual organic, raw, non-additive tobacco. And if, and there's probably other things, but just as other compounds within the tobacco plant that is just as good, if not better than nicotine, that's beneficial to your brain, if not body. And they're also saying through several studies, but not enough studies, that it helps regulate the blood sugar. So, and I mean, if you're afraid of the heating part, it gets too hot to become cancerous or carcinogenic, well, you can always vape tobacco, but not vape in the oils, like, what's in that. You can vape it raw. So through a ceramic based vape, that's another alternative to take in your nicotine. Anyways,
that is something I've never heard of. Thanks for adding that up too. Also, most of the products that you can buy that have CBD in them are also garbage, because there's not a lot of people that track what the component of CBD is in each quantity. And so one day we'll do a show about that. I'll bring in a guest that actually is very proficient in manufacturing CBD. We'll try and get him on some way so we can get more information.
And no, I don't do tobacco anymore, but who knows? But that's just information I learned. In fact, James Cockerham educated me on that. So he's an avid smoker.
Really?
Yeah. The guy who's he's one of probably the best muscle testers I've ever come across. He's in the course of remote viewing circles. Yeah.
The other thing I want to talk about was currently there's a lot of fear about what I should have. So I made an old list that we can just go over really quickly. Can you see the list or not?
Yes, I can.
You can see that?
Yes.
Okay. This was a list that I pulled off a website a long time ago, a Ready Preparedness website. It just has the best things that you should probably have on hand. And also, if you've invested in fertilizer, congratulations, your ship has finally come in. I saw that the price of fertilizer has gone up 1,200% over the weekend. So if you haven't put that down on your lawn, keep it and sell it on a black market, maybe. We know from the pandemic that these things kind of disappeared, your toilet paper, your napkins, because people thought, oh no, I won't be able to get any toilet paper or napkins. So just things to have on hand in case the price of these products go up quite a bit. Bandages, needles, you can get beef, freeze it up for probably 6 months, eggs, flour, your baby foods, milk, pasta, rice, bean, and mayonnaise. And we'll produce a list in the show notes that actually has somewhere you can go and somewhere you can get these things that are not related to us, but just preparedness things that you might want to have because it's springtime. And are you prepared for what's to come? Are you prepared for the maybe possibly more inflation that we'll be getting down the road?
Well, financially, I'm trying to be prepared to hopefully offset that high dollar inflation. But I mean, I got food and whatnot, but whenever I can be able to buy my own land so I can grow such necessities, so I don't have to be dependent on the grocer and the shipments, so hopefully that comes around. But right now here in Florida, especially I live in a Space Coast, everything's going through the roof, and just a lack of properties because we have this mass blue state exodus coming our way still.
Yeah, we have it here in Texas as well. So,
yes, that's what I hear.
but you did mention this is something you had mentioned earlier this week. And for fasting purposes, there's a guy named Cole Robinson who's very angry man, but he's angry at you because he wants you to lose weight. And his project is called Snake Juice Diet. And he's gone through lots of videos, and it's kind of hard to find his exact recipe for how to create the snake juice. But what this will allow you to do is make a 2 liter that you can drink for a day. And you can make that 2 liter for a second day, or a liter, probably a liter of water a day, but it has to have this in it, and you don't need to eat. You can do 48-hour fasting and then have 1 meal, and then do 72-hour fasting and then have another meal. So not only this going to help you with your grocery bill, it's going to help you drop weight and put your body back into autophagy so that anything that's wrong with your body will automatically be healed. And this comes from a number of different sources, but not really the medical establishment, because they want you to buy all the things that they're trying to sell you with that has things in it that they're not going to tell you. But the truth is, all you need is salt water. But salt water out of the water doesn't have the right consistency in it. So what Cole recommends is a 2 liter bottle of water. It shouldn't have BPA in it if you can avoid that. So take potassium chloride or no salt, and sodium chloride, which is pink Himalayan salt, and sodium bicarbonate, which is baking soda, and magnesium sulfate, which is Epsom salt, but it's food grade Epsom salt, not the stuff that you buy that you soak your feet in or your back in, because that is not, don't use that one. Then you can do what he said, the 48-hour fasting, and only drink 1 liter of this water per day. And it might be hard psychologically to move your brain around the fact that you don't need food. That's really the hardest process about this. When your brain starts to click, things start to become surreal, because you realize all life that we operate with and is based around food. And so when you remove that from your sphere, you change quite a bit. Have you practiced any electrolyte fasting, Dr. Mo?
I don't know about electrolyte fasting, but if I do intermittent fasting, which is eat 8 to 9 hours or eat less per day time frame.
Yeah.
But I've been educated about that like 7-8 years ago when some doctors started experimenting with that with one athlete who was a trainer and also an MD in practice, or MD, soon to be MD, a pre-med. But before then, I did do a 2-3 day fasting, but it was a fruit juice fasting, so it was kind of borderline. And boy, was that difficult. That was when I was young, and that's the only time I ever truly fasted. But it was a fruit juice one, but not salt. But I do take in a lot of pink Himalayan salt when I drink water. I filter my water and add some pink Himalayan salt for my electrolytes, and that's beneficial. But I like to try that out. Yeah.
Okay, I'll post the link to the Amazon ingredients on the show list below, and then you can order that up and mix it yourself. And maybe we'll do a video on how to mix it, because you don't need much. So less is more in that process. So I
was going to say, I know Tim Ferriss. You ever heard of that hacker? Tim Ferriss, pretty popular. Yeah, he advises doing intermittent and also do monthly and quarterly fasting. You know, he has a set. He's the ultimate hacker for body and mind. But you got to read up on his stuff. But anyway,
I've read the 4-hour body hack and his diet that he had before. It's really good. But the fasting process from Cole Robinson, I think, is he's very, like I said, he swears at you a lot. So if you have kids in the room,
he's pretty passionate what he does.
He's passionate about what he does. Yeah, that's right. But it's good to try that every season. Because with the changing of the seasons, we also have to renew our body. And so as things grow and come up from the ground, I think it's really important for all of us to just expel all of the garbage that's in us And so
Yes.
the next week, I'm going to get back to my cold fasting, and hopefully I'll be able to post the results of that.
We should do it together. So kind of like I mean, give us each other feedback, or or you
Okay.
should do it as a group. Yeah.
Yeah, let's start. If anybody else wants to join and let us know what your feedback is from it, please let us know. You can send an email to
Encouragement.
remoteviewing@gmail.com, or you could join me on Facebook and let me know there. We normally talk about the state of cryptocurrencies, but there's since we did Thursday, I wanted to talk about a couple other things, like this, to have you prepared for what is to come. And it's kind of a new, like a spring show, I feel like. A lot of changes going on right now in my life. This weekend, I'll be hosting a Zoom call where I'll be discussing my new brand of remote viewing. I've taken lots of remote viewing teachers and gone through all their processes and learned a lot about how their processes work. And I developed my own method called temporal awareness perception process. So this Saturday, I'll be hosting a 1-hour free Zoom call talking about that. And maybe I'll post a link here too, but just to give people an idea of what it is that I'm teaching and why I'm teaching it. Because if you process channeled information from spirits, or this is kind of a way of an offshoot, but they say you need to develop your consciousness, and nobody really talks about what that means. So my method of TAP is kind of an evolved method of remote viewing, because it taps into consciousness and how we can evolve that on a daily basis and a weekly basis. So the process is more streamlined from remote viewing. You get more accurate information more quickly, and it's just a better way to do remote viewing. Or not a better way, I'm gonna take that back. Let me just reel that back. It's a different way to do remote viewing, because I don't think my method is any better than any others, but it's a different way. And I appreciate anyone that tries to evolve something over leaving it the same thing that it was when it was introduced. Everything has to evolve. And if it doesn't, then it's just static in history. I could share one of the sessions that I did. One of the guys I used to remote view with, he told me he was going to give me a blind target. And it was the UFO sighted by Lonnie Zamora, where is that? This is like the 1960s or something. It was a policeman that saw a UFO, and he came to the conclusion that it was interesting because it was one of the first times it was sighted by a policeman. So somebody sent me this as a blind target, and I'll just go, let's see if I can pull it up. All right, here, I'll share my screen. You're probably not going to know exactly what it is that you're looking at, so I'll try to just be as quick as I can about it. This is the very beginning stages of remote viewing, where you're picking up information, and this is your overall sketch. So what I was sketching here was a UFO, which is B, and it's moving. And then I was sketching what it's doing and collecting here in the first sketch. And then we go through and look at more information for all of these here. This was inside of the craft. It was sort of had a weird, it wasn't like walls. It was more like a strange, I tried to draw walls that weren't walls, but they came out as walls. But to me, it had more of a bulbous wall appearance inside. And then inside they had these, like a seedling or a nursery. So I think what the most interesting thing to me about this whole session was, they're not interested in us. They're interested in our botany and the things that we grow, that grow here on Earth. And they had like a menagerie of different botanical seedlings and saplings, and they were looking at soil erosion and just trying to figure out what our environment was like. They were like scientists, and they just didn't care about people. And they got caught or witnessed by the policeman. Let's see. They're like blueprints, building a project. This is not my TAP method. This is a controlled remote viewing method of remote viewing that I was using maybe 10 years ago. So it seemed like this is a sketch of what they were doing or getting to get these saplings. So they were looking for little seeds, and they had this device that they sent out that picked them up out of the ground, and then they put them in their little nursery. They had, what were the things? Felt like this was one of their operational bases. This was one of the menageries inside. There were multiple rooms, and this is like a very small window of what their menageries look like. It didn't look like a greenhouse like we look like it, because it had swoops of water coming into it in different ways. So they were trying to grow these saplings to find out what they would produce and what the genetic structure of them was. Let's see what other thing was important. This was, interestingly, I published this on my Facebook page, and a guy came forward and said, hey, my dad knew Lonnie Zamora, and he says he told me that in a letter, he sketched these pictures that were on the outside of the craft. And it wasn't published, but it was something that came from my data that I got confirmed by a guy who had it written in a letter from his father. And I'll see if I can pull up that video. I tried to, or that letter from him. I tried to, but I couldn't find it on Facebook. But I thought that was a really unique. I don't know what these mean, but the guy told me that his dad put those in a letter to him. But anyway, just I thought it was a interesting little session that I had done on the Lonnie Zamora thing, something I wouldn't normally do. I didn't know what to make of this, but then I was sketching the idea of the ship, and then this is my site summary of it, and just wanted to share that with you guys because I thought it was a fun target that I didn't know what it was. So that was a blind target that was given to me. A guy that wouldn't normally give me a UFO target gave me a UFO target, and I nailed it. It was pretty good.
Especially those exterior symbols or pictures.
Yeah, that's not
pretty,
something I remember reading.
That's feedback right there, sort of.
Yeah, from the guy that knew Lonnie Zamora that had it. So just real quick, you are wearing your Shiba Inu shirt, so I think it would be a disservice to not talk about what we think is going to come this week. The end of the week being April Fool's Day. So again, watch out. Don't fall for anything. Don't believe any news, because wouldn't it be funny if the news was true on April Fool's Day? They actually tell you the truth, and then
joke's on us. It is the truth.
Yeah. It would be funny. So thoughts about what's going to go on with the market this week?
That's a good question. I haven't. I mean, did I do a remote viewing session that regarding to that?
We did do a session real quick. Let me pull it up. Hang on. All right, I pulled it up. One of the things that we looked at was the gold spot price. It's currently around 1987 or something. It's never gone above 2000. In November 2011, I think it was at 1999. So the question is, will gold reach its all-time high, or will the price be greater than 2250 in April? And I tasked that to you as a muscle testing, and you said, no, it will not be greater than 2250 in April. So we don't see gold raising above 2250 yet. We haven't looked at May or any other months coming up down the line, but right now, no. We also looked at, in April 2022, will the price of Shiba Inu reach an all-time high? And let me see, what did you say for that one?
Yeah, I don't recall that one.
I have it here. Hang on, let me pull it. All right, we're back. We had to go over the show notes to see what we had before. We tasked Dr. Mo and another viewer with a couple of queries. And so we gave them a blind statement, and we asked them whether that statement was correct in their mind. We asked them both, during the month of April, will the gold spot price be greater than 2250? And both of them said yes. I'm not sure I believe their accuracy in that rating.
For the month of April.
For the month of April, my intuition tells me that we will not see a higher price of 2250 for gold in April. That would be a record, and I do suspect that we'll have a run up the first week in April and the second week in April, but after the 15th of April, I think we'll see much bigger drops than we've seen recently. Recently, we've had Sawtooth. Should be an exciting month, both for people on the upswing and the downswing. Another question was, in April, the price of April 22, the price of Shiba Inu will not reach an all-time high. So that was our statement. And both viewers, yourself and another one, said, yes, that is a correct statement. So I believe that to be accurate. We'll see, I think, a 60 range. Well, let me take that back. We'll see like around a 54 range, I think, of high mid-April, and then it's going to probably plummet back again to a 30. So you'll see a large swing, I think, in the next couple of weeks, but be prepared to set your sell points for after the 15th, 16th, 17th. I think we'll see a bit more strike down. Another question was the Bitcoin market price in April 2022. The highest price exceeds 55,700. Now, we haven't seen 55 in a lot of weeks, and you, Dr. Mo, said yes, and the other viewers said no. So we don't have consistency on that one. I don't believe we can. We did project a 45,500. We haven't looked at the next threshold, which I think is 53.5. We'll look at that this week to see if we predict it's going to go over 50.
I hope I'm wrong, because if it does, I mean, actually, I hope I'm right. I just said yes, right?
Right.
Yes. It'll help Shiba Inu as well. So, but we shall see.
And the last one we looked at that I posted last week is the highest Luna USD market price is greater than $191 in April 2022. And I think that was trading, I forget what Luna is now. You can take a look.
Is it 120 or something?
Both of you said yes. The highest Luna price is greater than 191 in April 2022. That's an interesting statistic. So we'd have to see a really big run up.
It's right now $83.
That is difficult to believe that we would see $110 increase in Luna in 2 weeks. I just don't think it has the momentum to do that.
$90. So
I'm going to say
But,
no on those, but that's what we got so far for
something that expensive, like blue chip status, $100, $200. It's very hard to double that quickly.
Yeah, super hard. And it's particularly with SHIB too, it's not going to be able to double because it's been in the 20s for so long. That's why the max I see is like a 48. It could double by mid-April, but we're not going to see anything bigger than that. And we haven't looked past April 15th yet to see what the next spike is, but we'll take a look at that in the next week to come. So we appreciate everybody joining us. If you have tokens you want us to look at, if you have coins you want us to look at, please let us know. Send me an email to remoteviewit@gmail.com or leave a message here. I'll try to make sure you can add comments. Tell us what you want to see. We want to make this show interesting and exciting for everybody. So we appreciate the time that you spend here, and we want to give you actionable information to prepare for your future here on the Reality Forecast podcast. Thanks so much. We'll see you next week.
Bye.